5 years ago, on the 15th of August 2021, following a lightning offensive, Taliban seized control of Kabul, the Afghan capital, a culmination of their 20-year insurgency against the Western-backed government and the US and allied forces that propped it up. Our next report looks back at the 5 years of Taliban rule in the war-ravaged nation.
Half a decade ago, the Taliban regained power in Afghanistan in August 2021, after the sudden and chaotic withdrawal of US-led forces. Noteworthy is the fact that the stated goal of the Taliban government, which still lacks formal recognition, is building an Islamic society based on Sharia law, following 2 decades of comparatively liberal Western-backed rule. Despite the promise of a softer version of the harsh rule that characterized their first stint in power, women's lives in Afghanistan have been adversely affected by the Taliban's return to power. On the 11th of August, the United Nations Cultural, Education and Scientific Agency, UNESCO, said that about 2.4 million girls in Afghanistan have been stopped from continuing their education beyond the primary school level since the Taliban's return to power and renewed its call to lift restrictions on female education.
Since day one, we have been speaking about a generational gap through this educational banning. According to the estimate we have, today 2.4 million girls have now been excluded and banned from accessing secondary education since 2021.
UNESCO further warned that if the downward trend continued, nearly 4 million girls would be excluded from education above the primary level by 2030. The Taliban has banned women from most public sector jobs, rendering tens of thousands of Afghan women jobless since its return, overturning 2 decades of progress. Barring specialized sectors such as healthcare and education and small women-only cooperatives, women are effectively barred from employment in Afghanistan. The Taliban says that they respect women's rights in accordance with their interpretation of Islamic law and Afghan culture. The report card isn't exactly glowing when it comes to children's nutrition. On the 4th of August, the UN World Food Programme, it warned that child malnutrition in Afghanistan has reached critical levels, and aid shortages are forcing health workers to turn away millions of children and mothers, approximately 6 in 7 of those in need.
We must act now to stem the rise in child deaths which this crisis is provoking. It is already too late for too many, but not for the hundreds of thousands of acutely malnourished women and children who urgently need and deserve our help.
It didn't help that since January 2025, the US, traditionally the largest donor, as well as a slew of European countries, have cut funding. One of the poorest countries in the world, Afghanistan also ranks among the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. It is to be noted that since the Taliban seized power in August 2021, the war-ravaged nation has been left out of United Nations climate negotiations. Experts are of the opinion that the fallout from climate change would deepen Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis. Another significant group that has bore the brunt of Taliban's rule are the singers, musicians, artists and photographers. Many of whom have fled since the Taliban's return, while those who couldn't escape have gone into hiding or are keeping a very low profile. Though the Taliban authorities over the last 5 years have built working relationships with a slate of countries, unless and until it puts its own house in order, especially regarding women's rights, the struggle for international recognition will continue to be an uphill task.